Alright, I've got something for you today that I'm pretty excited to show you. I've been working on it for 2 weeks. My take on Kenrith, the Returned King. So I've had this copy of Kenrith for about 2-3 years. A while. See, what's the date? 2019. So I've had him for about 3 years now. And I got him for the art. I just thought it was really cool. I like the way that the abilities are printed. The way the top and the bottom ones overrun one line, the other ones are in one line. I just really like the aesthetics of the card. So I put it in my art binder. I forgot about it. Never really paid attention to the ability, never really thought about using him for EDH. And then I'm watching MTG Remy. And MTG Remy had a video where he's talking about Kenrith. I can give myself powers. And when Kenrith flashed on the screen, I realized those abilities are instants. They're not for some reason, because I didn't read the card and just filed it away. I never fully understood, fully realized, fully locked onto that the abilities are instants, that they're not, you can only play them as a sorcery. So that, wow, I should build something with him. But, Jesus Christ, how much is the mana base going to cost? I mean, dual lands are out of the question. If I need 10 dual lands for this guy, or even just 5, if I just have 5 allied or 5 enemy, holy crap. Let's see, that's 2,000, minimum 2,000 euros in dual lands, revised. And then the fetch lands. Okay, even if I go 5 times 20, so, I mean, 500 euros in fetch land, 5 times 20, 100 euros in fetch lands, not 5, 100 euros. So, that would be really expensive. But I wanted to build him. The deck building bug had bitten me on the ass and wasn't letting go. So it's got to be an easy way to build him. And then I remembered my old not Perforos. Let me think. Progenitus deck. I had a Progenitus deck where I ran with an odd mana base. Basic lands. So I thought, okay, I'll do that with Kenrith. I'll just run basic lands. How do I stop my opponents from blowing me out if I'm only running basic lands? And to make it simple, so the deck is pretty much evenly balanced among the colors. So I've got 7 Odyssey Swamps. I've got 7 Odyssey Islands. I would like to have a foil one of these, but I don't have one. I've got 7 Invasion Forest. I would like to have a foil one of these. Just one, but I don't have it. I have 7 Invasion Mountains. I won't bother saying anything about the foils, I think you all know by now. And I have 7 Invasion Plains. So I've got 35 basic lands, evenly distributed amongst the colors. Because I wanted to build this quickly, so I didn't want to have to think too hard about the mana base, too hard about the balance of colors. I do have 3 non-basic lands. I have the Cascading Cataracts, so indestructible for some reason, okay. 5 tap, add 5 mana in any combination of colors you mana pool. Yeah, it can produce colors, but that's not really going to matter. Evolving Wilds. I've got this Bob Ross Evolving Wilds that I bought for the art. All my other decks have non-basic lands. They've got shock lands, fetch lands. A few have dual lands. Not many, I think 3. So I don't play Evolving Wilds, but he's got basics. Yes, this should be Fabled Passage or the name escapes me right now. The other stupid go find a basic land card. I'll remember it in about 5 minutes probably after I finish the video. But I don't remember it because I don't play it. I don't have any. I don't go searching for basic lands in my deck unless I'm ramping, unless I'm using green for a cultivate, using green for a nature's lore, and I've already got my dual lands out. Shocks, duels, check lands, whatever. So putting this in there, so I can find a basic land. Yeah, it comes in a play tap, but oh well. Thawing Glaciers, yep. Slow as hell, but reliable, effective. Anyway, so there's 3 basic lands, 35. There are 3 non-basic lands, 35 basic lands. Let's get this right. Let me slow down. I haven't even shuffled this deck. I want to shuffle it and goldfish it so I can see how it runs. I haven't even done that yet because I kept it stacked up. I only got the last card yesterday. So, how should I build the actual deck? He's a human noble. He's got 3 of his 5 abilities deal something with creatures. Either creatures get trample and haste, or you put a +1/+1 counter on a target creature, which is interesting wording. Target creature from a graveyard onto the battlefield under its owner's control. And what's really interesting about this is I understand why they did it. They just said target player because they only have so much text box. There's only so many words they can fit into the text box before it starts getting cluttered and looking raggedy. So he can be group hug. You can do things like, hey Ramon, it looks like you're about to die. I will give you 5 life, but you're my bitch now. You do as I say for at least 2 turns. And see if he takes the offer or not. Or, hey Cube, you put a lot of creatures in play all of a sudden. Why don't you attack the genie, and I'll give you creatures trample and haste. So you can attack with everybody. You can play little games like that. But Kenrith does not lead me in any direction for the deck other than creatures. He doesn't point to anything specific. He doesn't point to any tribe. He doesn't point to any overall finer strategy. There's no graveyard strategy with him. Okay, yeah, you can resurrect the dead. You can put counters on creatures. So there are things to work with, but there's not enough of it, and it's kind of all over the place, which is cool. I love his abilities. So how do I build this damn deck? How do I build it quickly? Because I want to play this bastard. He looks cool. I want to get him in play and smash face. And after thinking about it, okay, I'll keep it simple. There are 5 colors of magic. I'm going to start with 5 artifacts. Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. Fellow Stone. He's 5 color. One of my opponents is going to give me something I can use. Sometimes in a 1, 2, or 3 color deck, even a 3 color deck, this could be a dead card that only gives you colorless. In this deck, I'm going to get something. Armillary Sphere. 2 to cast, 2 to activate, sack it, go find 2 basic lands, put them in your hand. And Chromatic Lantern. Because with only so many ways of searching for basic lands, getting my colors is going to be less than reliable. So I need to figure that out. Alright, so there's 5 colors of magic, as I said, and I did the deck by 5s, the initial genesis of it. So next up is a cycle of 5 allied color pairings. I do not have the enemy color pairings because I did not have a full cycle of 5 that was interesting to me. Let me say that one of the conditions I imposed on myself was I would use cards I already own, cards just sitting in my binder. I would only allow myself to buy 5 to go with my theme of 5s. That's his theme, 5s. There you go. I would only allow myself to buy 5 cards for the deck, but only ones critical to the success of the deck, critical to whatever I decide my strategy will be. So I didn't buff up the enemy color cycle, and I just decided to forego it in this iteration. Anyway, first up, going around the clock, blue-white, Lavinia the 10th. 5 for a 4/4 human soldier. She's pro-red. When she comes to the battlefield, detain each non-land permanent my opponent's control with CMC 4 less. Now this is important until my next turn. It's important that it says that, and I'll show you why when I get to that card. So keep that in mind. If it said until your next upkeep, well, she would suck. Okay, next up for blue-black, black-blue, we have Limdul's Vault. My other choices for black-blue was Ramirez de Pietro, 6 mana for a 4/3 first striker. Yeah, I love the art, it's full fog, but it doesn't sound very efficient. Doesn't sound like a good idea. Or Breathstealer's Crypt, which I just didn't want to play. So the Vault is an instant. Look at the top 5 cards in my library, and as many times as I feel like it, I may pay 2 life to put those 5 on the bottom and look at the next 5. And then when I'm happy, I shuffle all but the top 5 and put them back in any order. And then if I have the mana, and I was looking for something specific, like a damn counterspell or heroic intervention, I can draw it, if I have the mana. So that works pretty well with him. Okay, creature control. This is the black-red card of the allied color pairings. So yeah, I spend 3, 1 black, 1 red, and I pay X life. But then I burn as many creatures as I want. Divide the damage as I see fit. I didn't have anything better for black-red. That's going to be kind of the theme. Some of these choices you're going to think, why the hell are you playing this? Are you insane? That's crap. I didn't have any. This is the best option I had in my art binder. Keep in mind, my art binder is full. There are some good cards, but mainly it is full of cards that I like for the art. Full stop. So, Bloodbraid Elf. 2, 1 green, 1 red for a hasty Cascader. And again, so if I Limdul's Vault, I can work her in so I know what I'm going to get. I can stack it so when she comes down with the Cascade, I will get something I want, and I won't whiff by drawing a counterspell and not wanting to play it, something like that. So she's the green-red card, and to complete the allied color pairings, I have Mari's Wake. Always useful, always a welcome presence on my side of the board. So my creatures get +1/+1. Whenever I tap for mana, whenever I tap a land for mana, I get double that color. Which with basic lands, that's really going to be good. So those are the artifacts in the allied color pairing cycles of 5, the initial 5. The way I did the colors is I took each color, and starting at 1, I went to 6. So each color has between 1 and 6, 1 card representing 1 CMC, 2 CMC, 3 CMC, 4 CMC, 5, up to 6. And that's why I have Vorpal Sword, because I had no better options in black. If I had a Stone Throwing Devils, I would have put that in because it would be funny, but I don't. I have Vorpal Sword because I like the art, and I think it's cool. And here it could actually work. I mean, 8 mana is a lot to make somebody lose the game if the sword-equipped creature connects with them, but it is possible. Otherwise, I mean, the equipped creature gets +2/+0 and has Death Touch, and he can give it Trample and Haste. So maybe the Vorpal Sword is pretty good. And keeping with the theme of I didn't have any better options because I only allowed myself to buy 5 cards. I did trade for 3 others. But I only bought 5 because I wanted to build it as fast as possible, as cheaply as possible, and use cards already on, as I said. So Bitter Blossom, at the beginning of my upkeep, I lose life and create a 1/1 Black Fairy Rogue token with flying. Maybe it'll work in this deck, maybe not. I've got a white card. When you see it, that might help. Might make this good. I don't know. I'll take it tonight to the pub game. Bone Shredder. 2 and a black. Flying Echo. So he's a 1/1 flyer, then when he comes to play, I terrorize something. Destroy target non-artifact, non-black creature. Any shiny. He used to be in Marin, and now that I'm working on Korvold, Fakehurst King, Kenrith might lose him to Korvold. I'm not sure. I have to think about that. Mastermind's Acquisition. Why didn't I replace Bitter Blossom with Demonic Tutor? Well, I don't want too many tutors in the deck, and even though this costs 4, it lets me pull a card I own from outside the game and put it in my hand. So basically it's a Demonic Tutor and a Pull from Eternity, but I think Pull from Eternity throws in your graveyard, if I recall correctly. So what this will allow me to do is somebody exiles something, which is probably going to happen with as many exile effects as we have today. I can get it back. I'll probably want it back. Kenrith, what's your white ability? Hey man, my white ability is target player gains 5 life. Oh, that's cool, Kenrith. So, if I have Sanguine Bond in play, and you give me 5 life, then somebody else loses 5 life. Yes, that is true, my subject. Alright, good to go, Kenrith, my man. My king. This is going to be fun to play. I hope it don't fall on my face. I hope it doesn't suck. I heard that. Shut up, Kenrith. Anyway, Thrar the Dreadful. This is... So at the top end of the scale, for CMC, I wanted some Titan. I wanted something scary. I wanted something interesting. I don't have an extra Massacre Worm. I am out of Grave Titans, and I didn't want to just throw another Grave Titan in there. I could get a Massacre Worm. I'm shocked at how cheap the full art latest printing Massacre Worm is. It's only a couple, like 100 crowns or so for full art. Jesus Christ. So anyway, I've got this Visara. I've had her for a long time. She was one of the first cards I bought when I got back into the game and I started buying foils. So I've had her for a long time. I've had her in a couple of decks, but not for very long, because she pulls in 2 different directions. Okay, she's a 5/5 flyer. You want to smash with her, but you can tap her to destroy target creature. To bury the creature, it can't be regenerated. Well, what do? Do you attack and then you can't bury a creature, or do you just leave her as a blocker? So usually she comes out of decks. Here, I think she'll be more interesting. She's the representative of 6 CMC for black in this deck. So let's go with blue. What have I got for blue? Well, my best, and some people might be surprised that I had a Mystical Tutor just sitting around doing nothing. Well, I got a few back when they're cheap because I just like the art. So Mystical Tutor is the 1 CMC for blue. Of course, you only find an instant or sorcery these days. You don't find a mana source. But as with Lindell's Vault, I can go find it, put it on top of my library, and then if I have the mana, I can draw the card. I can get it immediately. For example, if I need this, if I need to negate. So this is the 2 CMC spell for blue, counter target non-creature spell. Here we go. This is a card that I bought specifically for the deck, because when I ended the Progenitus idea, I was so sick of it because it just failed so terribly. I got rid of most of the cards that I bought specifically for that. I've got 35 basic lands, 3 non-basic lands. And if we go back to basics, only 3 of my lands are not untapping. How many of my opponent's lands are not untapping? A lot! I'll tell you a lot. Those have been some greedy bastards lately, just like me with any other of my decks. I would not want to see this card. No, no, no. So that's the 3 CMC blue, and that is one of the key cards to my Kenrith strategy. Choke down my opponents. Glendalinder Archmage. 4 for 2/2 flyer, spin a blue, sacker, counter target non-creature spell. She comes back into play with the neg 1 counter. And Kenrith, then, if I've got the mana, hey baby, have a +1/+1 counter. Get bigger again. So, there we go. Here's another card I've not played with in a long time. I don't really like going through people's decks, but I didn't have a lot of other options for 5 for blue. And I've got 2 copies of Bribery. I have this one. I have a Judge Foil. So I thought, screw it, why not? Now here's the 6 blue spell. 6 CMC, Deadeye Navigator. So Bond. Yeah, the Dirty Navigator. So he's big. He's a 5/5 spirit. Comes into play, bonds another creature. They each have, you can spend 1 and a blue, exile this creature, and then return it to the battlefield under your control. So he doesn't have to blink himself to unpair. Any creature coming in can pair with him. Anybody can go on a boat ride with the Navigator. And I've got a lot of interesting creatures that would want to go on a boat ride with the Navigator. But let's go with green. So what have I got for green? I've got Burgeoning. Burgeoning is the 1 CMC green card. Whenever an opponent plays a land, and if their lands are choked out, they're going to want to play a lot of lands. I could put a land card from my hand onto the battlefield. For 2, the best option I could see with what I owned, I could do Seed Time, but the other thing I wanted is I wanted everything 5 and below, ideally, to only have 1 color in the casting cost. Seed Time costs 2 green. This only costs 1 green in the colors. It's Fog that I can buy back by sacrificing a land. Here we go. Second card I bought specifically for this deck. I'd wanted one anyway. And my Kenrith idea to run basic lands excuse me, just pushed me into buying him quicker than I'd originally anticipated. So he's 3 for a 2/4 creature with Exploration with Prismatic Omen. I mean, holy crap, where were things like this 10 years ago when we were playing? What are they going to have in just 5 years? If this is what you get for 3 mana, freaking 2/4 with Exploration and Prismatic Omen? Jesus Christ. Now I want him for Ikra-Shidiki and Sidarkando because of the toughness, but I'd want the original set art. This is just funny. He looks like he's had enough of your shit. He's had enough of your shit, he's done with it, and he wants to take a nap now. Or maybe have a beer. Who knows? Anyway, I like that. For 4, Seek the Horizon. I had some other options, but I thought this is the best one. Go find 3 basic lands, show them to everybody, put them in my hand, and shuffle. Here's the 5 CMC for green, Seedborn Muse. Untap all permanents you control during each other player's untap step. So there's a couple of non-basic lands I have. If I've got back to basics and she's in play, then they'll be untapping. But basically, she's here so I can use at least one of his abilities every turn. So if I always untap with my opponents, I will always have mana, and I can always activate one of his abilities and do something cool. For green, for 6, top of the scale in the original stacking of cards for the deck, I like this guy. So he's a 6/6 for 6 with a reach. Whenever another permanent enters the battlefield under my control, if it wasn't put there with this ability, I can put a permanent of equal or lesser CMC from my hand onto the battlefield. That's important. So if I play Vorpal Sword, I can put a land into play if I have him. If I play Solemn Simulacrum, I can throw back to basics down. I can throw Quicksilver Amulet down. It's just this. And he doesn't give a shit how the permanent got there except for his own ability. And that's another important thing as we move to red. So for red, a lot of hard choices because I don't have a lot of red cards in the art binder. First up, for 1, we have Vandal Blast. Destroy target artifact you don't control, or spend 5 and destroy all artifacts you don't control. Braid of Fire. This is the 2 red, 2 CMC for red. And so I ordered it from a guy, and he sent me the mystery booster bullshit. He just made a mistake. It's not Cold Snap. But what's cool is, as soon as I alerted him to the mistake, he immediately refunded me the price difference. Cold Snap is €13. This one is 5. So he, without even arguing, okay, yeah, I made a mistake, and sent back. Didn't even ask for a picture. Didn't even push back. Some guys will push back on you, and it pisses me off. Look, man, I know what you sent me. I'm not trying to teach you. Just fucking sort it out, right? This guy, he just fucking sorted it out. I said, you sent the wrong edition. He said, oh, I'm sorry. Here's your €8. It's like, wow, I need to order from that guy again. Anyway, why do I have this card? I get red mana, 1, and then 2, and then 3, and then 4, every turn. To what end? Haha! Free mana for Kenrith! Alright, so let's say this is on 3. I can just tap an island, spend that 3, draw a card. If it's on 4, and I've got some white, I can tap 2 white, spend that 4, and gain 10 life. If something's dead, instead, I can spend that 4 and 1 black and bring something out of the graveyard. So I expect this to do really well. This is the 3rd card I bought specifically for this deck. So, Braid of Fire. Free mana for Kenrith because his abilities are instants. Here we go. I've got to back to basics. So let's jump in with both feet, yeah? 3 CMC for red is Blood Moon. Non-basic lands or mountains. I'm not sure which is worse. If they can't, yeah, probably back to basics is worse because with the Blood Moon, at least they can untap the lands and use it for red. So they're color screwed, not mana screwed. And then for 4, remember what I said about the Kodama of the East tree? Sneak Attack, that's the red 4 CMC. 1 red, choose a creature card from my hand, put it into play. And if I have Kodama of the East tree in play and he sees this, he says, hey, you can put something else into play too if you want, man. And that's just a nice synergy. It's a nice side benefit. It's one of the reasons I went ahead and selected him for this deck, is things like that. Little edges. Okay. Red at 5. I had nothing. Very, very little. My Beacons of Destruction are in other decks. Didn't really have anything else. So I'm putting in this Carplus and Yeti. Just for fun. Let's see how it works. So 5 for a 3/3 that I can tap it to have it fight another target creature. But I can make him bigger. So if he's ready, I can put a few +1/+1 counters on him, tap him, and kill something. And I love the art. It's Quentin Hoover. I've loved this card ever since I first saw it in Ice Age. But it took me the longest time to figure out that I didn't understand why the Yeti was wearing a shirt. It took me a long time to realize the Yeti's hand is covering the mouth of a guy he's capturing, and the Yeti is not actually wearing a shirt. But if you look at it just right, it looks like that, doesn't it? It looks like the Yeti is wearing a shirt. Okay, camera's about to cut off. Let's hurry up with red, and then I'll start part 2. So 6 CMC for red, Itali, Primal Storm. Again, my god. I remember when the foil Itali was about €20, and I got this one for, I think, 5. So whenever she attacks, exile top card of every player's library. I haven't played with her, so I didn't memorize the wording. And I can cast any number of non-land cards exiled this way without paying their mana cost. And she beats for 6. So that's the 6 CMC Red Titan, and we're going to part 2.